Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for episode 4 of the H5 Inspired webinar series. I'm Seth Butte from NAU's Arizona Institute for Education and the Economy. We are once again excited to share the stories of creative and innovative solutions from and for our H5 coalition partners. Today, we feature the story of how Vail School District transformed their systems, leveraged partnerships, and maximized resources to boost college credit attainment. Get ready to be inspired by their success in providing students a significant head start on college and in preparing them for success across diverse career paths. If you have questions along the way, you can post them to the Q&A, and there will be some time at the end of the presentation. And now I'd like to introduce the Vail School District Chief School Support Officer, Ethan Hurley. Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, thank you, Seth. Thank you guys for logging in. It's really kind of an interesting story here about the early colleges. So I worked here in Arizona for about 15 years, and then we moved back to my wife's hometown in Michigan to run this thing called an early college. And I didn't have any idea what that was and what was going on. And then when I was back there, I was really shocked that this was a thing that they had in other places and we didn't have in Arizona. And then when I moved back, I found out that literally it was against state statute. We could not pay for kids to go to college while they were in high school. So we worked really hard to get some laws changed and make things happen so that we could have our kids benefit from it. I want to share with you a little bit about it. So I'm glad you're here today. I'm going to jump over and share my screen and jumps through some things here. Okay. So we are the early college. We are the monarchs. So my teacher did a great job of coordinating and figuring out like it's the whole turn from a caterpillar into a butterfly and do all those great things. We're going to let me jump through my buttons. So we're going to go through this, the history of it and what is concurrent enrollment versus dual enrollment, because early colleges are concurrent enrollment, and that's the only way to make it so that we can pay for it is to do it that way. So I'll explain that. And then we're going to go into college success. Our focus is on really college success, not free college. So that's a bigger challenge for us. We'll get into some of our successes and some of our challenges, but let's jump into right now the history of it. This is a really big, long article, came out a couple of years ago from the American Institutes for Research, but a couple of things I wanted to show to you. One is they went through about 2,400 students and they found out that yes, early college students did have a statistically more significant chance to graduate from 2-year and 4-year colleges. The second arrow there was the one that we really focus on, which is this isn't just exposure to college, it's increasing the support and help so that students can self-identify themselves as a learner and say, hey, I'm the kind of kid that can do well in college. I can do this. We really think that's where the biggest bang for the buck is. And then in the bottom, yes, it does cost a little bit more to educate a kid in an early college. Their research found out that our societal benefits are like 15 to 1. Kids pay into more taxes and they receive less services and all those great things. And as we've explained this to other school districts, really the challenge that people come up with is it is more expensive. Um, and one of the things I like to remind people is I have 4 daughters, and all 4 of my kids will benefit from playing in girls soccer in high school. And newsflash, girls soccer loses money every year. We don't make money on girls soccer, but we do it. We do it because it's the right thing to do. We do it because it gives them great experiences. We do it because it makes them better people and athletes and citizens. And so, yes, the early college is not a money-making endeavor, but our district really believes that it's something that is worthwhile for our kids in our community. So hopefully you'll get that same conclusion here in just a little bit. Let me move my slide here. All right, there it is. Okay, sorry. History of it. So they came out in the 1960s. They were in Massachusetts, and kind of like I said before, they were really there to motivate low income, struggling students, and their focus is on improving college readiness by reducing economic barriers. So in the beginning, it was really about making college free and accessible. In 2002, there was a big reinvigoration and excitement because Bill and Melinda Gates threw a bunch of time and money into this. And what they did was, it was really kind of funny, is our group here that works is they focused on creating friendly state politics and extra funding. And I know that's one of the things we're looking at. Funding is hard to get, but state politics and trying to get things changed is something we can address. So what happened in Arizona in 2017 was we had to pass a law that said concurrent coursework could be allowed to count towards our ADM. And there's a bunch of hoops to jump through to make that happen. So one of them is it has to be a 3 credit course. You have to give them credit at the high school. You can't just let them take the college credit and keep it there. It has to be at a course level higher than the high school offers, and our board has just decided everything a college offers is higher than our high school offers. So as long as it's 100 level, you're okay, and that counts. You have to still do one course with the high school. We'll talk about that a little bit, but it's really saying they're not full-time college students. They're still connected with the high school. So we have to make sure these aren't kids that have met all of their graduation requirements. They have to have one course left. We do high school government, but we did English, to be honest with you, when I was in Michigan. They have to be courses that count for something in college. They have to be either academic or they can be CTE certification courses, but they can't just be pottery or something fun like that. The high school has to pay for the course. You can pay for it up front, or you can get reimbursed from the kid, but either way, it needs to be free to the kid and family. And you can only do it through a community college, a state community college, or through an ABOR university. You can't do it through private institutions. And then if you do all of those things, what ends up happening is every 3 credit course is worth an eighth of an ADM. So if we think about it as if a student were to take high school government with us and then 3 college courses each semester. So one high school course, 3 college courses, they're a full-time ADM student. And if you want them to earn their CTE, JTED, CTED extra funding, then you just have to have that extra class on top of it. One government class, one JTED class, and then you can do 3 different college courses during the ADM. Essentially, how that works is we enroll them in a high school class called college class, and that college class is what they will earn credits for at the end. So we have to do it retroactively after the semester ends. If they earn the passing grade, we put it in, it goes on the high school transcript. But we preload that with they have a full 1 point ADM because they are enrolled in 4 classes, the one government and then the 3 college classes. So if you have questions on the specifics of that later, I can get into it, but that's how we get our funding. There's 1,200 of these things nationwide. They're all over the place. They're just not very many of them in Arizona. There's whole schools. So when I was in Michigan, they were 5-year high schools that this was all they did. You went to an early college high school. Um, it could be on a high school campus like that, or it could be on a community college campus. So ours in Michigan was on a community college campus. Ours here in Vail, our students go to Pima Community College East, and that's where they spend their senior year, is they're on their campus the whole time. There's also an early college, middle college. They're slightly different depending on who you talk to, but really it's the same thing. They're doing a bunch of college while they're in high school. All right, let's get into concurrent enrollment versus dual enrollment because I think all of us are familiar with what dual enrollment is. Some big changes, what you'll find out about concurrent enrollment is going to look, feel, sound a lot more like an actual college class. So it's taught at the college. It has to be taught by a college professor. It has to use the college's calendar, the college's bell schedule, and you have college classmates. And really for us, that's one of the things that we found to be a huge advantage is it just feels more like college. I'll pick on my own kids, for example. My first kid did dual enrollment high school writing 101 with all of her friends in third period, 5 days a week. It felt like high school and they got college credit. My second kid is doing online dual enrollment, and she is completely at the whim of the college. And she's under their rules and their jurisdictions and their interpretations. And so she's really getting more of a college experience than my first kid. My first kid got the credits, but she did not really get the college experience that my second kid is getting. Okay. The other thing, how does it keep clicking out of there? Sorry. Where they get different is in where are we at here? It's not letting me move the slide. Keep trying. Stop share and reshare and see if I can make it go again. Sorry. Okay. The concurrent enrollment has to be free to the student. I know lots of you guys have dual enrollment where there are fees associated to it, but part of concurrent enrollment is it needs to be free to the student. Where they're the similar is they both earn college credit. and they both have to earn high school credit, right? So that's the similarities and differences. But the main selling point, like we said before, is it's free, but that it really is more focused on college prep because you're preparing the kids for what college is really going to be like by putting them in a real college class. All right, let's talk about our school and how we focus on college success. Because I keep telling parents, what a parent hears is free college, right? I have 4 kids. I know free college sounds great, but really what they want to hear is college success. We all know the numbers nationally. Half of the kids don't ever graduate college that go there. Almost a third of them drop out the first year. So what we really want them to focus on is how to succeed. Important to say up front, we don't accept super great kids. Our goal is not to be a replacement for AP programs. We have 6 high schools in Vail. They all can send kids here. About 95% of our kids are seniors, but every once in a while we get a junior that really wants to push themselves. And really, the number one driving thing for this is that what is the kid's desire and motivation, right? What our typical student is a student who really wants to go to college, but is worried that they're not going to be successful, right? They see that this is something I really, really want, but they're wondering if they're going to be okay, right? So they write an essay for us on why do you want this? We interview them. Those things really are there to make sure that this isn't mom and dad's idea, but this is this kid's idea. And as long as they have a GPA of 2.5 and they believe that they want to go to college and need help being successful, then we bring them into the program. Students are allowed to still connect to their high school. So we're just a program. They're still going to get a diploma from one of our high schools. So if they want to, they can still play sports. They can still go back and take a 6th period fine art or CTE class and do clubs and go to prom, graduate. We have lots of kids that do that. We have kids that were homecoming kings and played football and volleyball. And we have kids that say, I don't ever want to go to that place again, and they can mail me my diploma. I'm over it. So it's really about what that kid is wanting for their future and if they're willing to admit they need help. If they think they've got it all figured out, then take dual enrollment, take AP. This program's probably not for you. Okay. So what happens is every kid takes a high school government class with us. They're on campus. Then they take a 1 credit dual enrollment, which is college success. PIMA has STU 100, and every college now has their 1 credit class on how to succeed in college. And then there's 3 or 4 college courses they take, depending on the kid, depending on their goal, depending on how we think they're going to do. They can take either 3 or 4 classes. Now, this is where it gets interesting with the college schedule. Our college, Pima College, does not offer a lot of things on Friday. So our school is Monday through Thursday, 9 to 2. And we tell them it's 9 to 2, whether you have a class or not. So you show up at 9 o'clock and you stay till 2. If your first class isn't till 11, well, then great. Come in, check in at 9 o'clock, and do something for 2 hours. Do homework, do a study group, work with your buddy. Those are the things we're really trying to work on is how to use your time wisely. Can a kid sit there and watch a movie for 2 hours? Sure, we're not sitting there and watching them. But as part of our high school success class and college success class, we're talking about how do you spend your time? What's the best way to use your time? Are you taking advantage of the resources here? So let's get into some of those kind of specifics here. A couple of things we do is we have before each semester, we have a full 1 week boot camp, we call it. Part of it, honestly, was to make sure we met enough hours because, as you know, colleges don't go to school very long, and we still have to meet the hours requirement for government and high school success, college success. And during that week, we really talk about how do you spend your time? What's available here? Where is there a great study breakout session? How do you connect with the tutors? How do you get study groups? Where are places? What are things? All the stuff. Really try to spend some time with the students. Okay, then we have 2 teachers there full time. We have 2 teachers, one that teaches the government class, one that teaches the college success class. And then they are there the rest of the time to mentor, to meet with kids one on one, talk about grades, talk about papers, give advice, those kind of things. We also do workshop Fridays about once a month, and we bring them in, and it literally is that it's a workshop. It's when we do our FAFSA, it's when we do our senior exit project, it's when we do how should we study for finals and how different are their midterms than our midterms. So about once a month, we bring them in on a Friday and just do workshops on college success, basically. And then we also have things that we've learned over the years that we used to do as suggestions, but there are lots and lots of resources that colleges have. Colleges actually have more supports than high schools, we found. But the difference is in high school, we pull you into those resources. We say, you need to come to my after school tutoring. You need to go see your counselor. You need to come to reteach and enrich. And in college, they say those things are there. There's an open door and tutoring's free. You just have to go find it. There's mental health services there. You have to go find them. So one of the things we do as part of our assignments in college success is say, okay, go to one tutoring session, and then we write a journal about it and share what did we learn and what was it like and how did it go. Okay, everyone's going to go to a professor's office hours, and we're going to prep them on what can you do and what can you talk about and how can you go and how can you benefit from it. And then they go and they do as an assignment. One of the assignments is to form a study group, get with a buddy that's taking the same class and learn from each other. So there's just lots of things that we're doing other than saying you have a free biology 100 class. All of these things are available at colleges. We got them all from asking the college, what are the services you have here that you wish kids would take advantage of? And they would say, we have office hours and no one comes. We have tutors sitting in the library and no one comes. We've got these great mental health services and no one's taking advantage of them. We have clubs. And so we really just learn from the colleges, what is it that kids should be doing? And then how do all our kids do it? Here's some examples of some things that happened. We all remember college. We all know what's happened in our lives. We've had students who had a parent die when they were with us. We had a student who had a baby when they were with us. We've had kids that failed midterms, or they show up their first day of class and find out their class is canceled. All of these are things, if you're a kid who's maybe first generation or maybe wondering if college is for me, but I really wish it was, these are all things that could be like terminal to your college experience. This could be the, yep, I knew it wasn't going to work out. I had a baby, I'll never go to college again. I failed a midterm, I should just disappear, right? These are the reasons that kids disappear and withdraw. And instead, we were able to, with our mentor teachers, to say, okay, let me tell you something. You're going to reach out to your professor and you're going to explain things to them. And I will give you a secret. We have found out that in every instance, college professors are more lenient than high school teachers. The high school teachers who are teaching you about the real world are actually meaner than the college professors who are dealing with adults. And when you explain to a college professor that your parent died or that your car broke down, they usually give you an extension. They usually give you a break. Okay. They understand that life happens. And so we've said, well, let's change our schedule or let's withdraw from a class. Let's change this to pass fail. Like, how do kids know about those things? How does colleges have them available, but how do students know? They have to have someone tell them or have a friend or a buddy. And so that's what we're there for. We've sent them to on-campus supports. We've said join a study group. Basically, they are the adult on campus who's giving these kids advice, and then the kids have to go do it. They give them a pep talk. They say, this is how you should send an email. You should go to this office hour and say these things. And then the kid has to go and do it themselves. So just by being there and advising them, mentoring them, kids have been able to stand up for themselves and advocate and make some great things happen. All right, I'm gonna get to some of our successes. We've been doing this for 6 years now. We've had nearly 400 students go through the program. Students are averaging 27 college credits. Okay, so almost a full year, a little over a full year, depending on how you talk about it. 99% of our kids have gone on to attend college. Now remember, they pre-selected and saying they were the kids that want to go to college. But I can tell you, we've been giving the ACT for 15 years here, and 90% of our kids say they want to go to college. And every year our college going rate is about 55 or 60%. So there is something in between wanting to go and going. When a kid leaves the early college, they know they can do this. So whether they go to Pima or go somewhere else, by the way, our 1% decided to join the military. So that's about it. Um, Lots of them, since they've actually earned a free year with us, get a 4-year scholarship at U of A, ASU, and go there, and they can use that fourth-year scholarship to start their master's. And so we're starting to have some of those kids 6 years in who are graduating and getting masters and doing all these great things. Some of the great research that came out of Helios and the ASU Decision Center a couple years ago, we were able to look and see how did our kids do compared to the average kid in Arizona. And in 87% of the courses, our kids had a higher passing rate and a higher GPA rate than the average kid in Arizona. We withdrew from 4% of our courses, where the state average is 11%. So it's a huge, huge drop. And we've sent some kids to some amazing places. We send kids to BYU. We send a kid to the Curtis Institute of Music on a full ride scholarship to play the drums. Embry-Riddle to be engineers. We've sent a student to Harvard. We've sent a student to NYU, to Tulane, and obviously a million to U of A and Pima. It was really interesting. I think a lot of our counselors did not think you could get to places like Harvard and Embry-Riddle by having 30 credits in dual enrollment, but those colleges are really starting to see that those kids have proven they can be successful. I don't know if They would view it the same way as dual enrollment, but I can tell you, we sent a student to MIT a couple years ago with 20 dual enrollment credits. So I think the four-year universities are really starting to see the benefit of this too. Real quick, I want to get you to some of the challenges we've had. One, convincing leaders this is a good idea. Our principals, our board members, our superintendents, this is not the way we've always done things. Those kids should just take AP classes and the dual enrollments we have on campus. We also had to work with the college people and try to convince them that this was a good idea. So that was a big effort in the beginning. Another real challenge is it's every year. So every year we have to recruit a new group of kids, and we're recruiting those kids while we're launching the next kids off to whatever university they're going through and FAFSAs and all those things. So it just kind of seems like every year we're recruiting and bringing in, and every year we're recruiting and bringing in. Another challenge is trying to get our people to understand and be bilingual, I like to say, in high school and college. High school people we have found are really good at understanding high school, and college people are really good at understanding college, but they're not very good at understanding each other's systems. So we had to have someone that fully understood both systems and could be a college expert for our kids when they had college questions and a high school expert for our kids and parents when they had high school questions. So that's something we've been really strategic about. The other challenge is just college schedules, right? They don't have a lot of classes in the morning. They cancel classes. They're used to dealing with adults, and adults need to just suck it up and figure it out. And when you've got 10 high school kids whose college algebra class gets canceled the day before it starts, there's panic, right? We would never do that in our high schools. We wouldn't say, you're an adult, figure it out. We would have all the systems in place to make it great and work out okay. So we've had to do that for them. The other thing I've dealt with, to be honest with you, is in a community college, there are plenty of faculty members who believe their classes are already full of kids who don't belong in college. And so when we explain to them that I'm sending you more kids who haven't even graduated high school yet, their leading belief before they even see a kid is this is a bad idea. So we purposely don't tell them who our kids are. We don't wear our t-shirts on campus. We don't wear our headband. We don't have lanyards. We just want them to look like any other kid in that class. And what happens time after time after time after time is by the end of the semester, the professor says, "Hey, was that kid one of yours? Send me more kids like that." Because our kids are going to tutoring and they're going to office hours and they're working on projects and they're doing the things that college kids should be doing. But just in the beginning, it's going to have to explain to professors why it's okay to have a bunch of kids who haven't graduated high school yet on their campus. And then the other reality is our community colleges in Pima County, I don't know where you are, but they're not really set up to be on campus all day, 6 hour kind of classes. So our campus doesn't have a restaurant. It has like snacks, and they don't have buzz in, buzz out systems, and they don't have gates, and they don't have fences, and they don't have bells, and they don't have all of the things that make us comfortable in high school. So we have to explain to parents that it's going to be okay that they're sitting in class next to a 60-year-old person who hasn't been fingerprinted, and that it's going to be okay that they don't do fire drills every month, or that there's a Dunkin' Donuts across the street and the kids might walk across the street sometimes. We tell them not to, but sometimes they do. So just trying to, all of the safeguards that we have in high school aren't really there. Each campus, if you work with, if you create these things, are going to be different, but just you start to learn all of the things that we had that made it safe to be on a high school. All right, I sprinted through. That's my thank you. Hopefully we'll share this afterwards so people can have my name, my phone number, and the website and all of those great things. But that's what I've got. So if you've got questions, I'd be glad to help and answer any of them. Or I can go into more detail, whatever you got. I don't know if there's anything in the chat. I haven't looked.
No, I didn't see anything there.
Okay.
All right. So you have shared us a nice overview, implementation success challenges of the Vail Early College Program. Um, so does anyone have any specific questions?
I can
Okay.
tell you we've worked really hard with four different districts to try to implement these. Two of them have done it and they're running their own. And two of them, it really feels like something so different from what they've ever done before that it feels like a challenge to overcome and even to think about. I will let you know when you see, we have 90 kids this year. When you see 70 of the 90 who wouldn't have been successful in college, go on to be successful contributing members, it makes sense into why we're doing all this crazy stuff. So if anybody wants to reach out to me one-on-one or ask questions about how this is possible and what's there, I'd be glad to help, but it's a big thing.
We do have one question. Karen Cardenas, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for hosting this. I am in the Phoenix Union High School District, and we worked with four colleges, sometimes even more within the Maricopa Community College. And I may have missed it, but do you work exclusively with one college in Pima?
Yeah, so Karen, thank you for the question. One of the realities in Pima County is we only have Pima.
Okay.
So there's Pima does it. They have like 7 different Pima campuses, and some of them are an hour apart. But instead of one of them being Rio Salado and one of them being Glendale, here it's Pima East, Pima West, Pima South, Pima. Um, so our reality is that we are located on one of the campuses, and our kids only take classes on that campus.
Okay. And then you mentioned that the district pays for the cost of the courses, and you still get ADM for the kids. Does it balance out? Is there an incentive to that? Meaning like ADM, your ADM actually, you still get money for the student instead of being in the negative because you're paying for the courses?
So if we just did the students and the courses, so right, if a student makes $7,000 ADM, we don't spend $7,000 on tuition and books per kid.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we spend money on putting teachers up there because I don't believe in having kids just fail at college a year earlier than they would have if they went by themselves. I believe in setting up systems to make kids succeed, right? Our underlying kind of motto is college success for kids who otherwise would not. So we
Mhm.
put a couple teachers up there. I would say in reality, we probably lose $5,000 a year. Okay. And when I say lose, I want you to know that's less than softball loses. And that's less than girls soccer loses. Right. But we're not making profit on it. We're trying to get it. Our goal in the beginning was, man, if we could get to be about 60 kids, that would be enough for us to fund 2 adults there and have a net negative that's good enough that we can live with. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, 4 or
Yep.
$5,000.
It's a great investment.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for the clarity. I appreciate it.
sure.
Thank you, Seth.
Quick question, that student support course that you described, is that something those students just have to do once, or do they take it, every year that they're in the program? And I guess I'll just kind of start with that.
Yeah, just once. So it's a 1 semester dual enrollment class, and it's really that first semester that they're with us, and it's our way to ensure that they're doing study groups, office hours, tutoring, those things. The goal is that after that, it's just a check-in. So it's easy to say, hey, you're struggling in college algebra. Have you been going to tutoring? Do you have a study group? Are you implementing the things we worked on?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So that's about the end of our time today. Ethan, you're okay with me putting your contact info out on a follow-up email?
Yeah, absolutely. Send it away.
Cool. So a little bit later, I'll send out a link to the recording to everyone, along with Ethan's information. Can people come visit?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how people can really see it and see how different it is meet our 2 teachers and see their tiny office. So if anyone's interested in coming out, I would love to set up a time and meet with you there and talk about the challenges we have and talk about the great benefits we're getting out of it.
Excellent. Thank you. And
Mhm.
everyone else, have a great week. And we'll be back again in a few weeks for our next episode.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Seth.